If you want to speed up your ability to attract ideal clients, collaborating and partnering with your peers and sometimes even your competitors is like the fast pass at a Disney ride. You are listening to Amplify Your Success Podcast, episode 421. And today we're talking about how to create irresistible alliances and literally become the strategic partner that ideal partners want to promote. Are you ready for this? Let's get started. Welcome to the Amplify Your Success Podcast. Get ready to ramp up your revenue, amplify your impact, and make your mark in the world. This is the show for experts, thought leaders, and service professionals who want to shatter their limits and achieve that next level. You're going to find out from other experts and influencers how they made it. Now, let's get amplified. Hey there, inspired entrepreneurs and ripple makers. Welcome to 2025. This is a brand new year and our first official episode of 2025. And today I want to talk about something that has been a true catalyst and transformative impact on my business. And I've been using this strategy since I started my business in the early days. And it's, of course, taken different forms over the years. But it's also it's almost like people wait way too long to tap into this strategy. Now, before I get into the strategy, one of the things that is going to help you become the strategic partner that's in demand and people can't wait to promote is you've got to create the fundamentals and the foundation. You've got to have a really hot topic. It's got to be complementary and synergistic, and it creates big energy. And one of the ways to really assess your business to see where you're strong and maybe where you have some areas that need improvement so that organically you're attracting these kinds of partners is through taking my Ripple Making Readiness quiz. Now, I put this quiz together because I think a lot of people who have a business and they are selling their expertise, they get a little confused about where they need to focus their time and their energy so that they're attracting more ideal clients, they're able to scale the revenue and the reach of their business, and they want to be kind of an in-demand force to be reckoned with in their industry. I like to think of it as like you're making big ripples, and that ripple making energy is really contagious. But if you don't have all the right ingredients, you're going to be making lots of effort and very little results. So if you head over to melaniebenson.com/quiz, you can take the short quiz. It will actually tell you what your results are. And I give you 3 different stages of ripple making readiness. You can see which one that you most fit in and what you can do differently right now to really start making a bigger impact and be paid well in doing so. So go take the quiz, and I'd love to hear how you're scoring and what you want to do about that. Okay, melaniebenson.com/quiz, and I will also link this up in the show notes. All right, so let's talk about some of the elements of being a strategic partner that's highly in demand. And I like to think of this as like this organic, automatic experience happens where people are coming to you. Now, first of all, there has to be this powerful magnetic quality to what you're doing if you want to create an organic experience around attracting strategic partners and collaboration partners. And that starts by making a decision that you're going to be collaboration ready, right? You want to optimize for collaboration. And this, I always say this, it starts with a decision. You have to decide, I'm done doing this alone. Okay, because when you're doing this alone, you are probably waiting for invitations to come your way. You've noticed a plateau in your growth. Your email subscriber process is probably hard because you're losing more people than you're gaining. And you'll notice that your reach is only as far as you have been able to build it. Now, one of the solutions to this, obviously, is to pay for ads. And that is a solution. But I talk to a lot of people who go in and out of partnerships, exchange it for paying for ads, do all the work, they're doing all the work themselves. And they always come back to the strategic partnership because, first of all, when it's done well, it's an accelerator. I remember the time when I first started to open back up to partnerships in like 2010, 2009. And I had one partner who promoted a program I was doing at the time around money and mindset. And literally, it filled my program for me. And I was like, why did I wait so long to do this? Now, there's a lot of stuff that goes through our head. People have had bad experiences. They're like, well, I don't have the bandwidth to promote all the people that are going to promote me. Maybe it's like it feels like a lot of work. Yeah, those things can be true. And there's so many ways to partner up and be strategic about collaboration that if you're not doing it, you're literally, I believe you're leaving so much reach and so much impact on the table. And it's hard to make bigger ripples when you're doing this all by yourself. Because what can happen with the right collaboration partners, the right strategic partners, is you are being invited to basically grow your own audience, grow your own client base exponentially, because you're in front of audiences where ideal clients have already been cultivated, nurtured, and they already want what you do. And when you're partnering with other people, your credibility and your authority are being boosted simply by the invitation to collaborate. By them putting you in front of their audience, they're giving you implied endorsement. And third, if you do the math and you do the setup well of your collaborations, you will have a much lower investment in your marketing and your client attraction, or what they call lead acquisition fee, than you will if you do this on your own. So I know there's this little mechanism in our brain. It's like, I could do this myself and I could make more money this way. But honestly, like, would you rather have 100% of a really small pie, or would you rather have like 50% or 80% of a huge pie, or multiple pies that you don't have to bake all by yourself? Think about it like that. So what are some of the elements that make someone irresistible? So I'm going to tell you some practical things, and I'm going to tell you some things that people maybe don't realize are what we're looking for in partnerships, but that actually can move the needle quickly. So here's some of the practical stuff. First of all, you are like, you have a big voice. You have a big ripple that you're making. You've got this think of like this compelling, I almost said contagious, but you've got this compelling energy that people want to be a part of. And you're demonstrating that by having your own platforms, having your own movement that you're making. You've got social media reach, you've got a podcast, you're having events, you're doing something that makes you a ripple maker. You don't have to do all the things, but doing at least one of those things can be really compelling. And I am a firm believer that having your own podcast is one of the most impactful ways to kickstart strategic partnership. Because if you're doing a good job of having a podcast, you are actually creating a platform that makes you a coveted partner. Now, I'm going to get into some things to avoid in a minute, but I got to say this right now so I don't forget. Having a podcast that has zero reach is not the same as having a podcast where you're really cultivating reach. I have some people who have, kind of invited me into the collaboration space with them. And as lovely as they were, they said things to me like, I would look at what they were doing with their podcast and I'm like, would you like to optimize that? Because you're not getting any reach with it. And they're like, I don't care about it. It's just the vehicle. And I'm sitting there going like, okay, well, I think you're missing the point. Like, the vehicle is an opportunity to help that person gain access to a new audience. And if you're not doing that part, it's not really a collaboration friendly platform. That's my take on it. I'm not shaming anybody who hasn't figured out how to build reach. You can fix that. You can do that. And again, reach can be, you've got 40 people listening to your show. That can be great reach for a lot of people, and that's enough. Here's some of the other things. I think you need to be really clear and really consistent with a brand positioning and message. This is where I call the Lighthouse Message. When you do that, it becomes crystal clear quickly for your colleagues who are interested in collaborating, okay, we have synergy. It's hard to get past the hump of we do the same exact thing without a lot of digging deeper into, all right, what can we do that would make us synergistic? So people don't really want to give away clients to someone who's their competitor. There's ways to collaborate to get there, but it's more work. Let's just put it that way. But if you can create a clear message and a clear positioning that is complementary to what a lot of what your coveted partners might do, then it's pure gold. So for instance, I have a colleague, he's been on the show, his name's Jay Fairbrother, and he specializes in masterminds. Now, I teach people how to launch masterminds, but his specialty is so specific and niched, it makes it really easy for us to partner with each other because what I do solves a problem that his people have and vice versa. So that's what we're looking for. But I've had people who also teach people how to leverage the power of podcasts or are really about positioning authority. And I'm like, we're kind of doing the same thing. It's a little bit harder to find the synergy. But going back to the podcast idea, when you both have a podcast, it's easy to find a complementary topic to borrow that audience than it is to do like promote. Some other things that make someone an irresistible partner is a track record. A track record basically means that you do what you say you're going to do and you do it well. Not all of us have the same audience sizes, so some of this has to do with choosing well and knowing that you're inviting somebody to promote for you who may or may not have the same reach as you. So that's up to you to decide what feels right. But where this breaks down for a lot of people is people saying yes and then they don't follow through with promoting, with doing whatever it takes to help that person attract new leads. And really the essence of a strategic partnership is I am going to invite you to be in front of my audience, either through email marketing, through being on my podcast, being on my stage, doing something on social media, right? Those are some of the fundamental ones. And in doing so, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I'm getting people to say yes to your offer. That's ultimately what a strategic partnership is. But if you don't follow through or you do the bare minimum, you don't make sure that you're getting the offer in front of your community, and you're just like, yeah, whatever, I did what I said I was going to do, but you don't really put your heart into it, that's not really the same. So what I'm a big fan of is figuring out, first of all, making sure that what I say yes to is really of interest and of value to my community. So there's got to be something really compelling there. And then I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that that person, their offer is being seen in a really great way, which sometimes means I'm rewriting all of their promotional materials so it's a better fit and it really lands inside my authentic voice to my community. So I really think that being an irresistible partner means that you care, you're going to do what you say, and that you have a track record of performing. Let's talk a little bit about some things to avoid that can make you a not coveted partner. And I think one of the things that is people are really sensitive to right now is the kind of the one-sided opportunity. Now, not everybody can go back and forth and collaborate well, but I think what we're looking for is the spirit of collaboration. It's like, hey, you're doing this for me. Let me do something for you. Even if you can't promote for someone, what could you do that would make you indispensable, that would make you irresistible, that would make this compelling energy come to life? So who could you introduce them to? What kinds of other types of things are you doing that might give value to someone else? Like, do you host a networking event and you can invite them to that? Could you introduce them to some other podcast hosts? You don't always have to be the person that gives the visibility, but you can open doors that make that coveted energy come higher than if you're not doing anything. I think it's really important to avoid the self-centered pitch. It's like, I just want you to promote me and I'm not willing to do anything. And by the way, one of the ways that shows up these days is like, I just want to be a spotlight on your podcast or on your show or on your stage, but you never give any of those opportunities back. And I think it's really important to look at like, this is a co-created dynamic when you do this well. And if you're exchanging and there's a constant give and take in that visibility, it's going to go so much further. I think a second thing is to not be crystal clear about what your unique value proposition is. If you're not, then it's really easy for people to dismiss you or for you to fall into that invisibility trap because you are not really standing out with that opportunity. Like, here's the problem I solve, and they don't know where to plug you in. So being really crystal clear about your value, about your message, about who you work with can up-level your invitations organically. And then third, and this is kind of the opposite of what I just said, but be consistent. Do not say you're going to do something. Do not like drop the ball and do nothing if you've committed. Okay. At a minimum, communicate that things have changed. Now, there's always been the partners who their timelines shift and now you've got other commitments and you can't do it. That's one thing. But I'm talking about you commit to promote at an event. You're being a speaker and you're not promoting. You're you've committed to promoting somebody's program and you never follow through. That's just honestly like it spreads like wildfire when you don't follow through, and that reputation is hard to shake once it's in place. So be promotion worthy by being a valuable partner, whatever that looks like for you. How do you get this started? How do you kickstart being an in-demand, coveted, really valuable partner that people organically reach out to? Well, first of all, that lighthouse message is going to be your anchor. It's like the cornerstone that everything comes from. So make sure that every place you have your message being visible to the world, like especially partners, that you have that lighthouse message standing out. When I put people through my Authority Accelerator program, this is one of the first things that we do is really work on their consistency across all platforms. Because if you've got that you're a cookie artist on your Facebook page or your Facebook profile, and then on LinkedIn you say that you're a copywriter, and then Instagram is saying something else, it just creates this seed of doubt. So have that consistent lighthouse message. And if you don't have a lighthouse message, you definitely need to be in my next Authority Accelerator, because that's going to make a huge difference. Step 2 is build relationships. So building relationships means that you are intentionally cultivating relationships with your ideal peer partners. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this. I see this emerging right now in the current Authority Accelerator, where there's people who have some synergistic audiences, and they're literally building those relationships inside the community of Authority Accelerator. So that's one way that it can happen, is you join a program, you get active in a mastermind or in a networking community, and you cultivate a relationship with people. And in those relationships, they're getting exposed to your message, you're getting exposed to theirs, and it should be a natural extension to say, hey, let's explore how we might be able to support each other. You can also do this on social media. You can do this by reaching out. Again, if you have a podcast or an event or a show of some kind, you can ignite these relationships by giving that visibility first. But it's important to recognize that we're in a trust deficit in our community overall. And I think like I get pitched all the time to be on people's shows. And then I'm like, okay, well, what's involved? And then I find out they want me to pay to be on their show. And I'm like, no, I don't pay for my visibility. It's like, I do this organically. This is what I teach. So I'm an example of the wariness that I think a lot of people are having about when you reach out. So reach out with value, reach out with generosity, reach out authentically, and be a influential giver first. And you'll notice that this organic kind of reach and this organic collaboration starts to take off. And then I think the third piece is, and I touched on this a little bit already, is deliver value and results beyond expectations. So when I'm invited to speak at an event, I always ask the host, like, do you have all your speakers lined up? Do you have what you need? Is there anything I can do to make an introduction or plug a hole for you. So I'm always going to give as much as I can in the beginning. It's like, I want to make sure that if I'm on a podcast, I'm like, what else can I do to support you? Like, are you looking to collaborate? Are you looking for more visibility yourself? So I'm always asking, what do they need? What would valuable collaboration look like for them? And that can ignite the feeling of like, I like this person. I like how they vibe. I want to do more with them, right? So be value first focused in this. I can tell you millions of examples of how this unfolds, but I want to just give you a spark of possibility here. This does not have to take a long time, but it does require being intentional. My very first collaboration experience came from a mastermind that I was in. And I had such bad imposter syndrome. It was like 2002, and I was still really getting all my sea legs in place around my business. I didn't feel super confident yet about anything. But what I did was I had some training. I had a tool I used to help people understand how they operated inside relationships with other people. And I had a stage, I had a platform that I booked speakers on every month. And when I got in this mastermind and I started to realize, well, first of all, I could invite these people to my stage, and then they got to know my work, and they were like, this is pure gold. I was starting to see what would happen with one conversation in front of a community of my ideal clients. I would fill my program. Today, what I notice is that it's slower at times to get new communities to say yes to what you do, but the more compelling your ripple making machine is, the faster those people are going to move to yes. So every time I teach at the Accelerator, I host a live masterclass, and I have somewhere between 5 and 7 partners promoting that. And those partners will send some wonderful leads my way. A few of them will jump in and go, yes, I'm going to join at the Accelerator because they're fast action takers. But some of them, they need a little more nurturing. They need to get to know me. They need to build trust and rapport before they're going to be a yes. And so what I'm finding in today's market is continuing to build your email community, your podcast listeners, your social media presence, and then staying active, delivering valuable content and engaging communication with them, that when they are ready will cause them to say yes faster. But if you have to do this like all on your own through your own social media, build up your own podcast listeners, it takes a lot more time, a lot more energy, and it's a lot more effort. I'm a huge fan of the collaborations. It's a big part of my strategy for growth in this year and beyond. We're getting really, really dialed in with all our systems and everything. And I think it all starts with having that Lighthouse Message in place. And I'm finding that the more I dial that Lighthouse Message and I get really powerful stories and really powerful frameworks being shared about that, the more the partners are coming to me. And then it's just our job to do a good job taking care of those speaking opportunities, those promotional opportunities, the how we create visibility for other people on my podcast so that we maintain that coveted space. So I'd love to hear, how's this landing for you? And is building collaboration something that you're intentionally focused on in this year and beyond? And do you have your strategy mapped out? Be sure to take the quiz at the Ripple Making Readiness quiz at MelanieBenson.com/quiz. And if you're ready to go deeper and you really want to ignite this, but you don't have your Lighthouse Message, drop me a message wherever you're listening to this and let me know that you'd like to be able to get your Lighthouse Message dialed in so you're getting more organic reach, more organic invitations, and more opportunities to collaborate with your peers and maybe even your competitors. Thanks for tuning in today, Amplifier. We're going to keep this conversation going, and I want to hear from you how you're going to amplify your authority and make a greater impact. Before you go, please take a minute to give our show and our guests some love over on your favorite podcasting platform. Subscribe, rate, and review. Leave your full name, and I'll spotlight you and your authority on social media.